All right, we are live. We're about a minute behind, almost 2 minutes behind, because we had a technical issue, but we are good to go now. Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Willie Jolley,
And this is D. Taylor Jolley.
and we are with you here live and living color on Happily Married Monday with the Jolleys. Hope you are ready for another episode, and we are grateful for all of you who have been telling folks about this Monday night message, and we're grateful for all of you who have sent us Facebook messages and forwarded it to their friends. Got a lot of responses from the show last week on infidelity and what else did we talk about? Infidelity. That was it. So, and we got a lot of responses from 2 weeks ago with the couples, the special edition, the Thomases and the Boardleys,
Yes.
and how to deal with finances from three different perspectives: the one-pot system, the two-pot system, and the three-pot system. So,
Just how to deal with difficult situations. So tonight's focus
is a
little
byproduct. It's a little byproduct of that one 2 weeks ago. We mentioned at the one 2 weeks ago that Ronnie Boardley, who was one of the couples, to pray for him and his parents. He had two 90-year-old parents who were both having health issues. His mother specifically, we were praying for his mother. Let me tell you what happened. His mother, we were told right before we went to our vacation that she was day to day. Any day now. That's what the doctor said. Any day now. The father was fine, doing good, and we went and visited them 2 days before we left to go on the trip, and went to the hospital to see the mother. And while we were there, we just called the father to say, "How you doing, Pop? How's it going?" He said, "I'm doing great. Thank you very much." Well, this week, he dropped dead. He died. She's alive. He died. And we realized that life is difficult sometimes and unpredictable. And we've been through that experience. So we wanted to talk about how 9 ways to support your spouse through the love of their parent.
through the loss of their parents.
Loss of their parent. And so we want to talk about that because, interesting enough, we have had lots of conversations with couples as a result of this book.
So we share specifically back
Let me finish
to...
this thought. We have had a lot of conversation with couples over the time of this book, and we've had a number of conversations with couples who expressed concern, issues with their spouse because they didn't feel supported in the loss of a loved one. And so this was a prime opportunity because of the experience we were dealing with this week with Mr. Boardley's death.
So we're actually sharing our experiences
Yes, why don't you
because
tell
we've
us?
gone through 3 losses within 30 days. And while that's been, more than 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
the lessons that we learned from that, we've shared with our friends, relatives, who are going through, who have gone through losses.
Why don't you
as
tell
to
them,
specifically
because they
what
want to
do.
know what losses we had within 30 days.
Well, you can tell.
All right.
Your
So-
mom, who's already in her 80s.
Now, did you see? She said you tell.
Because you're going to take too long. Oh my
See,
goodness.
she said you tell, and she went right in.
You didn't pick up on it fast enough. Come on.
Now, there's a point there, folks, that I want to make sure you realize. We didn't argue about that. We didn't flip out about that because we make light of it. That's why we haven't argued in 30 years. We don't always agree. If you noticed last week, we had 2 different opinions about the
And
whole
I think
issue.
that's healthy. So I respect his opinion, even though I might not agree with it.
There you go,
always.
but we don't argue. And we've had a number who said that has been a lesson they learned from it. Now, here's the story. In 2003, you're looking at a mama's baby boy. When I got married, I told my wife we could not move more than a mile from my mama. Because every day I went to see my mom. And if I was on the road traveling, I called my mama every single day, whether it's from Japan, South Africa, wherever. Well, my mama died in April of 2003. My brother, myself, and Les Brown eulogized her, and we had a wonderful homegoing service. Of course, I was grieving, but we had a great homegoing service. 25 days after my mother died, my brother dropped dead of a heart attack. My only sibling, my only brother, my only other family member of my unit, my mom, dad, and my brother. My dad was gone, my mother was gone, and now my mother was gone, and now my brother was gone. 8 hours after my brother died, the same day her father died. 8 hours. You talk about grief. So what do we do then? Now we could have said, she could have said, well, you know I can't deal with you, or I got going on, my dad has died, or I could have said I can't deal with your dad with the fact I lost my mother and my brother. But that's not what we did. We supported each other. We said, I said to her, I got you. She said, I got you, and we did.
So what we did first, we didn't do anything for a few minutes, and we said it was a Tuesday night.
Yep.
So what are we going to do? Well, why don't we go to church?
Why don't we go to church? Go to church. We went to church. They would have
Went
Bible
to
study.
Bible study.
And it was the toughest Bible study I had ever been to. I had a hard time lifting my hands because I'm in grief. My brother, my only brother, and I'm just wiped out. But we give God glory for that because He took us through that, and we did it together. We went through the process together. We supported each other. So there's some lessons we learned that we want to share with you. One of the things I'm going to tell everybody here, if you've lost your parent, you know what we're talking about. If you have yet to lose a parent, then know that nobody get out of life alive. That's what we learned. And that everybody's going to have that moment where they lose someone they love. So how do you handle it? We got 9
We
ways.
actually have more than that, but
Right.
we started
limited with 9, but we got
started
limited
with 9,
time.
but there are more, and so we want to say that.
And we talk about this whole process in the book as well. Okay.
I think that's one of our stories
Yeah.
in the book too, but because it's so fresh and
Because
because
it's
with the
fresh.
loss of Pop Boardley, and I thought it would be a nice idea to dedicate tonight's program to him.
Yes, Francis Boardley.
Yeah.
We're dedicating this one to Francis
Yeah.
Boardley in Vienna, Maryland, which is right outside of Cambridge or Salisbury, between Cambridge and Salisbury. 90 years old and was like a surrogate father to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to funeralize him tomorrow, and I'm going to speak and sing, and we're going to be there to support him. Anyway, let's go through these points, and you can share them.
So what we're saying is, here are some helpful ideas as you have your difficult moments with the loss of a parent. And they not only apply to the loss of a parent, but anyone, because we've shared this with when you've lost your brother, your sister, a close person, because you're not necessarily thinking logically.
Right.
And I approached it from the point of view that your spouse, when you have a loss, any kind of loss, or take for example when I got fired from my job during the snowstorm, you weren't my husband then, but you were my best friend.
Right.
And I called you. I didn't necessarily have anything to say, but I lost my job. But I wanted you to be with me.
Right.
Okay, so
and that's grief too.
That is grief.
Grief comes in a number of different ways. It comes in the loss of a loved one. It can come in the loss of a job. It can come in the loss of a move that you have to make and leave family and friends. Lots of ways of grief when it's just taking away that's your normalcy. So grief comes in a lot of ways.
So when loss happens, even though you might have anticipated it, it's still an emotional situation.
Right.
And you're just not prepared for it.
Right.
I don't care. You're just not emotionally prepared for it.
Right.
And so you turn to your loved one for support. And oftentimes you don't know what that support actually looks like.
So you said something here I like a lot. You said the first person you often turn to after loss of a loved one will be your spouse. And you're expecting and hoping that they will be there to embrace you, hold you,
support you, and you might not be able to express what that support looks like.
That's right. Okay.
So here's some tips.
All right.
So first, be present. Present in terms of just being around the spouse who has had the loss.
Yep. Be present. And it's called.
You don't have to say anything.
You don't have to say a word. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. They might not want to hear anything, or you might not know what to say. And so you don't have to make up something to say. It's just the presence. We call it the ministry of presence.
Yes.
And sometimes they'll be with your spouse or your spouse's family. It's just being there, being supportive.
It's the comfort of knowing that someone that loves you is simply around you.
That's right. That's a great one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Number 2, let your partner grieve the way they want to grieve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what does that mean? As I thought about that, I remember when my mom passed away, which was more than 20 years ago, and I decided I can't grieve now because my brother and I had to plan the funeral. We had to do all these other things, and I consciously said, I'm going to grieve after the funeral.
Right.
So I was well organized. I was helpful with everybody else, and I decided to put my emotions on the sideline. Everybody can't do that.
Right.
Because I knew that my family was depending upon me. My dad was still alive. He was depending upon me because he said, Dee can handle it.
Right.
And I was like, Dad said Dee can handle it, so I better handle it.
And I've heard people...
And people handle it in different ways.
That's right. That's right. And you got to let them do it. I've heard people say, oh, don't cry. Don't cry. No, we say cry. We tell people cry. Get it out. In fact, when we deal with somebody's loss, I send an email to say some of the things that Dee has already mentioned. You're not going to think as clearly as you usually do. Your grief is a real deal thing. It's like a weight upon you. It's like a fog upon you. You don't think clearly. You're not as sharp. And sometimes you're going to have emotional you're just filled up, and that's when you should tell people, I gotta have a moment here, and go get a good cry. And I say that to men too. Men say, I don't cry. I don't need to cry. I gotta be. You better let it out. It's therapeutic. It's cathartic.
Otherwise, you're gonna be an emotional wreck. Because you're really not thinking clearly anyway.
Right. So
that's why you need a spouse or significant other around you to just kind of.
And don't apologize for crying when you gotta cry. Say, I gotta cry. I gotta have a moment here. Look. Big boys do cry. I don't care what they say. Big boys do cry. You lose your mama, you go ahead and have a good cry. Whatever way you want to do it, okay? Work out, sit and stare into space, seek time alone. Dee gets organized. She just gets uber organized. I mean, everything got to be in a certain place. Now, she's already anal already, okay? She's already organizing everything on top of it, but she gets extra.
But it helps me think through the difficult situations. Okay?
Yep.
So 3, be patient. As a supportive spouse, patient. So the spouse who has lost a parent might not do things the way that they used to.
Right.
Because their mind isn't functioning clearly. So just be patient with them.
Yep.
And that's being loving. And be logical for them.
Yeah.
They might be the logical one, but now they're just not functioning the way they used. So be logical for them.
I agree.
Because grief changes how you think and just how you process information.
Right.
Your brain is full, but it's filled emotionally. It's not necessarily filled with logic.
Right.
Okay, number 4, I like this one. Be detailed for your spouse. Now, this is something that we really share with people who are going through loss.
Yeah.
Because there's so much going on with activity, with people saying, "Oh, I'm coming by to visit. Let me bring."
What can I do to be a blessing? And most people say, I don't know. Well, let me tell you a couple things. My wife, has created, and we've done it together, but she really created, and I just augmented it, a checklist for when you lose a loved one. What you're doing. We had this, Ronnie's wife said yesterday, we went by their home, and she said, thank you for that checklist. We went down the checklist when we went to the funeral director, when we did this, went right through your checklist. It was
and I said, how can I improve on it? If I missed anything, you might have updated it with some other information, share it. But number 1, we either give or we tell people, get a notebook.
Yeah.
Say, a notebook? Yeah, a notebook and a pen, and put it on a table by the front door or where the people come into your home. Because you're going to have people coming and going, and you won't remember all the different people that you've talked to or who brought what as a way of saying I care.
Yeah.
So a notebook by your entryway, and as people come in, they get it, they will sign it, and you can say, well, thank you so much. Write it down so that you can send thank yous, or you can read that notebook, and that will just make you feel better later on.
Yep.
The kind words or things that they had to say about your loved one.
Yep.
And you will enjoy that later on when you're more of yourself.
Yep.
And you want to come back and review.
Yep. So we would highly recommend that, and we have the checklist, and we are going to make that checklist available for you.
If you send us an email.
If you send us an email, I want the checklist. We will be happy to send it to you, whether you've got somebody now or you'll have somebody later.
Info@reallyjolly.com.
Info, IN, F as in Frank, O, at WILLIEJOLLEY, info@williejolly.com. Okay, next.
And I said, prepare small meals. Now, there's a lot coming and going. People are coming. Some might be bringing something, some not. You don't know what. But because there's so much going on and it's so emotional, most people might not eat a lot. But to have snacks and the like around and small plate meals available makes it easier to grab a bite and to continue to keep moving forward because you have so many different activities going on.
And now let me give you a tip also for when you are taking something to somebody's home who lost a loved one. They say, well, you say, what can we do for you? They say, well, I don't know. Here's what you do. Here's what they need. They need water and they need toilet paper.
Okay, we're going to get to that, sweetie. But this one is the small meals. Let's deal with
people
the
going
food
to come
first.
and go to the bathroom and more folks and more water. Okay, that's what they need. And
yes.
soda, soft drinks. Okay.
Yes, so next I said get the mail. Think about this. Again, that's an organizational thing, but get the mail, the bills, the newspapers. I can remember 100 years ago when there would be a death and they used to put something on the door of the house. Do you really, I don't know. Maybe that's a southern thing. Mm-hmm. And there would be like a wreath or something on the door. Well, I'm from Hampton, Virginia. So there might be a wreath or something on the door to designate that a person there had passed. And so you collect the mail, the bills, because sometimes that gets just kind of forgotten. Mm-hmm. But here in the city, we need to collect everything so that somebody doesn't think that people are not home and they come and they steal, because that has been a problem. Yeah. Isn't that something? Mm-hmm. So you want to get the bills, you want to get the newspapers, you want to get all of your ongoing business materials and organize them so that when the funeral is over and you can start to get back to your regular activities and planning. You won't have, oh my God, did I pay the utility bill? Or,
right.
Whatever. Even though today most people's bills I think are paid online.
Well,
but
most,
still
but
with the newspapers and the like.
Every little thing.
Okay.
All right. Go with your spouse to take care of the paperwork, sign the death certificate, to the funeral home to make arrangement. Be the one who helps them through that process. That can be a very trying.
And that's when a checklist
that's
is a
when
great
you
idea,
really need that checklist.
Because this is an emotional time for you, and this is when the funeral directors make their money.
Yeah, we're not trying to blow out no single funeral directors, but we're going to tell you the real deal. Because they have a big business, and sometimes it's an emotional buy or sell because people are emotional. They're not thinking. They're not clear. And they're making not wise decisions. So we want you to know that. While we're talking about that, one more thing we've said to our children is, look here, we put in our wills. Hope everybody should have a will, and it should be very clear what you want, so that they're not fussing and fighting.
If you want a funeral, some people we're being cremated.
Boom. They don't have to come and sit around looking at a gravesite saying, well, we couldn't go this year, or get all wrapped up and tied up and got to take flowers. No. We don't want to leave that kind of guilt.
But the communication is necessary. That's what we're saying. However it is you want to handle that,
all
okay?
Right. Take the master checklist with you everywhere you go and check off items completed. Again, we talk about that checklist. Mm-hmm. And then ask
this is number 9. When asked what you have a need of, you want to encourage your family and friends to do what you had said earlier.
Bring water, toilet paper, dry snacks, little bites of food if they like, paper towels.
And paper towels, why? Because
you
have all these people coming and going and using the bathroom.
Yep.
And you might not think that's the big deal. But the
running out of toilet paper and running out of...
and everybody's kind of helping, washing the dishes, cleaning up. So the toilet paper and the paper towel is really important. Yeah. And people kind of sitting around and they're fellowshipping, and dry snacks is really a good idea also.
Yeah, people ask you what you want, what else you need. Here's what I'm telling everybody, and I tell them over and over. Tell them, I need prayer. Would you pray for me? Just ask them to pray for you. Because the prayers of the righteous availeth much. And sometimes you will go on the prayers of your friends and your family and your faith.
Just to get you through.
Get you through. And you will get a peace that passes understanding. You don't understand how you keep going. How you even got the way to keep going when you're so overwhelmed with grief. That leads to the next thing we highly recommend. Tell them.
Grief counseling.
Grief counseling.
Now, it might not come the day after the funeral.
You just need to get grief counseling. Some get some grief counseling.
Some, it comes immediately because they're like, I need it immediately. For some, it might be a month or so. It is imperative that you have grief counseling.
Now, why is that?
Okay.
Why is that? Well, people say, well, I'm good. Well, I'm going to heal it myself. Now, if you broke your arm, what would you do? You'd go to the doctor and get it set. If you broke your foot, what would you do? You'd go get your foot in a cast. But you deal with a broken heart and you try and deal with it yourself. Get some grief counseling. It was amazing for us. And we highly recommend a book called Life After Loss. Get that book. I want you to go.
By Dietz.
By Dietz. In fact, we buy it now sometimes by the box load because it's so profound. Bob Dietz, D-E-I-T-S. Bob Dietz, D-E-I-T-S. And he wrote this book. A gentleman sent it to me when my mama died. Now, my mama was 87 years old. We knew she was failing health. I thought I was good. And I said, I'm good. I don't need to read the book. When it came in the mail, a guy heard me speak at a convention, and he really loved my message, heard about it on the grapevine. I don't know where he heard about it, but he sent me this book. He was a psychologist. And I said, I'm good. I don't need it. But I read something in my spirit said, read the book. I read the book, not knowing my brother was going to die 25 days later. And that book was so profound, so profound. And I've had so many people we've given it to and said, thank you. That book was profound. And I interviewed him on my XM show, Bob Dietz. He's in his almost 90 now. And his
wife passed away
last year. And he said, I needed to go back to the book for myself. That's what he told me. Anyway, you can get that on my podcast. You can get that interview on my podcast with Bob Dietz, the Willie Jolly Wealthy Ways podcast. It's a profound interview. But get the book, Life After Loss. Highly, highly recommend it. And so these are the things we wanted to share with you because we're dedicating it, as we said, to the Borley family, specifically what we call him Pop Borley, Francis Borley, who we talked about 2 weeks ago and asked for you to pray for the Borley family while we were on vacation, thinking that Mama was the one who was day to day and he was doing good. But, life is...
Do all you can while you can, so you will have no regrets with the passing of your loved one.
Yes.
And if you want the
one
tips...
more thing that... Yeah, go ahead. Say
okay.
that, and then I'll go one more thing.
If you want the tips, which are a copy of our funeral support list, you can email us at info@williejolly.com and say funeral support list if that's what you want.
So, this is important. Two things. One, about your spouse. That sometimes the death of a loved one can drive you apart. Sometimes it can drive you together. And what I want to say to each one of you, listen carefully. My brother and I had been, maybe a year earlier, we had been at odds over little stuff. We'd been at odds. But during the year we were both taking care of Mama, we had to travel together and go places together, and take her to the doctor together. And we had to go on one extended trip for some family business down to Charlottesville, Virginia, and we had to ride together. And over those 2 hours, we had not been together for 2 hours by ourselves since we were little boys or young men. And we talked, and he said, well, now that we talk, and I said, whatever, he brought up, I was teed off about something that you did, and I said, I understand, but let me apologize for that. And I apologized. And then I told him, here was what I was thinking then. And then I said, but you remember that? You did something that teed me off, and he apologized. And by the time we got back home after that, 4 hours together, 2 hours there, took care of the activity, and 2 hours back, we had never been closer. And I am grateful for that because I had no idea he was going to die within the next year. And so I'm saying to you, some of you have some beefs and challenges with your siblings and spouses and in-laws that you should just say, you know what? It's not that important a deal.
So you're saying sometimes the death of a family member can drive you apart, or can bring you together.
And it's up to you and how you handle it.
And you decide
which
one it's going to be.
And we want you to be drawn together. That's why we wrote this book. Y'all know we wrote this book because our goal was to save 1 million marriages. We've been married 33 years, haven't had an argument in 30 years. Not because we didn't disagree, but we learned some principles. We put the principles in the book, and I'm thankful for all of the people who have now said, oh, y'all got to see the testimonial on our website, on the Jolley Marriage. Go to jollymarriage.com, look for testimonials. We were in Richmond, Virginia last week. A young lady and her husband said, she said it's so wonderful, but she basically said she's had a lot of marriage books. They've been married a few years, and they've gone through marriage book after marriage book after marriage. She said, this is by far the best marriage book we've ever read. It's real, it's right to the point, it's not pulling any punches, and the fact that y'all talk about it from a male and a female perspective, and you talk about the things that break up marriages: sex, money, communication.
And communication is that common thread.
Yeah, so we want you
so communication certainly deals with communicating about the loss of a loved one.
If you don't have...
And how to support each other.
And if you don't have this live audio, can you see it? Okay, live audio, live recorded live at Grace Church. This is something you should get. Go to jollymarriage.com/live. It is funny. It will lift your spirits. It will make you laugh. But it'll also talk real deal about sex and the issues that people are dealing with, because the question and answer part was profound. A couple more things. We've gotten so many of you who said, I really want to have a coaching session. A live answering question coaching session. So you want to do that? We'll do it. Okay, we will do it. We will have a registration form. If you'll send us an email, say I want in on the live coaching, group coaching session where you can ask real time questions, then just go to send us an email at info@williejolly.com. info@williejolly.com. Last but not least, I just encourage you to continue to share these messages with people you know who are struggling in their marriage. People who are
is this on YouTube after?
It's on Facebook.
It's on Facebook.
Facebook, and share the link with everybody in your network. You don't know who's going through it. You don't know. They look good on the outside, but they jacked up on the inside. All right, so send it to everybody and say the Jolleys are serious about helping 1 million people to improve their marriages. Hope this was good. Our time is up. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I want to thank y'all. Hope you have a great week on purpose. And remember, jollymarriage.com, see the testimonial. Get 2 books when you get the book, one for you and one for your significant other.
So share the link.
Yeah, and read the book together. At the end of each chapter, discuss it. And then get the live audio. See y'all soon. Jolley out.